So, hello everybody, here I'm back, and today I'm going to do a sit-down for Arkham Horror, the Living card game. Now, those of you who have been following my channel know that I've played every single Arkham Files game out there except Mansions of Madness first edition, because I don't like playing opposed, and I don't have anybody who would DM, so basically it was never on my radar. But since they've brought out the second edition, which is completely app-based, where you don't have a dungeon master, I've also started playing Mansions of Madness, and I've done a playthrough, or I'm doing a playthrough of the first scenario, and it's on my channel as well. A word of warning: if you really like Arkham Horror, the LCG, stop now, because I don't. I was very disappointed with the game, and this is not going to be a glowing review of this is the best game ever. First of all, what is Arkham Horror, the LCG? Well, it's a living card game, so it's in the same tradition as The Lord of the Rings, the LCG by Fantasy Flight game, probably also Netrunner, Game of Thrones. So FFG isn't new to the LCG idea. They have brought out many LCGs, and I think a lot of them are really, really successful. And I've played, and I am playing, Lord of the Rings excessively, and I've got every single expansion, Deluxe, Saga, and Small Package, and Nightmare, and whatnot. And I know how to play LCGs. I've also done an extensive review of different LCGs or deck building games earlier from different publishers with different themes, and I think I know how the game works. I've also, in addition, watched a lot of playthroughs of other games that I don't own, like Dominion, but also Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, which is also by Fantasy Flight Games. And since I like card games, and since I like Call of Cthulhu, since I like the Arkham Files, I thought, okay, Arkham Horror, the LCG, I can't go wrong. So I bought it, I pre-ordered it actually, it took months to be delivered. When I first got it, I was so excited, so I sat down and I did a blind playthrough using only the information that comes with the game. They have two sets of rules. One is the rule reference, where you basically get everything alphabetically, and then you've got the how to play guide, which I have a gripe with, because if you just follow it, and you can see me in my video series following it step by step, you don't learn how to play. There are loads of things that are not mentioned, which you're basically supposed to, I don't know, I guess, find out magically, automatically, somehow divine. But FFG and rules have had a love-hate relationship. So how does the game work? Well, the game works in the following way. You have one or more investigators who are pitted against an adventure. And the adventure is campaign-based, so as you go through the whole campaign, and there will be more packs, there will be more adventure cycles that will be coming out over the next months, years, decades probably, your hero, or anti-hero, because this is Lovecraft, will become stronger, you will be leveling up, you get additional cards, you get better cards, but you also get detriments, weaknesses, horrors. You know, if you're familiar with Mansions of Madness, you get horrors, and basically this is also what you would be getting in this game, only they are added to your deck. So as you draw, you might end up with detrimental cards, not only from the event card deck, but also from your own deck, which does remind me a little bit of the Saga expansions for the Lord of the Rings, where you also have bad cards that stay with you through the campaign of the Lord of the Rings proper. Which I haven't played yet, but I have seen playthroughs, and I think this is how it works. There's one card, I think it's called Gandalf Delayed, or Gandalf is Delayed, and if you choose this, it stays with you for the rest of the campaign. So you have Banes and you have Boons. So they have taken this mechanic and put it in here. So how does it work? Basically, you build a deck of, and I was very surprised, apparently only 30 cards. I don't know if this is going to change, but 30 cards sounds very small to me. And you can draw from a particular type of card. So you have this idea of spheres, just like you have it in the Lord of the Rings, and where you have certain hero types that can only play certain cards. And then you basically go on your merry way. And the merry way in this particular case, and there will be spoilers of course, is you are locked in your own house, and you're trying to find out what's happening, and it turns out that there is some cult and they're doing something terrible, and you find yourself locked in your study. You have to break free from your study. You have to explore your own house. You have to essentially kill ghouls that are on the premises and try and stop their nefarious, endeavors, I guess. But you can also resign. If you feel that this is all too much for you, your investigator can run, which is very Lovecraftian, because obviously in the face of the elder gods and the older and the great old ones, no one can ever stay sane, and running away is probably a very good, if not a very heroic, but a very good alternative to actually dying horribly. So as you get your cards, you have different things you can do on your action. You can draw resources, you can play cards, you can fight, and you also have a mythos phase where you draw from the deck, from the encounter deck, where bad things happen. And I played it using the recommended solo investigator, and it was quite a terrible event. The whole game felt very, I don't know how to say it, but it felt very boring. I didn't feel engaged at all. It didn't help that some of the cards in this game are named after the cards in the Lord of the Rings game. So they have a card named Unexpected Courage. Sorry. This is so Lord of the Rings. You could have come up with a better name. This is something that I really didn't like. It's okay to borrow, and it's okay to borrow mechanics, and it's okay maybe even to borrow iconography from Arkham Files, but please don't go to another game. You know, it just felt wrong. I saw this and I was like, okay, this is cheap. They could have come up with a different name for this. So I didn't like this. This put me off. And the game was completely disengaging. There wasn't anything happening that I was interested in. I wasn't interested in the characters. There's another one, Amy something. I want to say Amy Winehouse, but that's not it. The street urchin, is it Amy or Emily or whatnot? The other recommended starter character, I didn't care for her either. And I get really excited about my characters. Those of you who have been watching playthroughs of Eldritch Horror, or maybe even now the most recent one, Mansions of Madness, Circle of Eternity, or my Descent playthroughs, will realise that I really feel for my characters, that I root for them, that I am, like, go team. But there was like, I couldn't care less. I mean, okay, so we draw this. Oh, it's a treachery. Oh my God, we take horror. Oh my God, what's next? Oh, we have to go here. Oh, we have to fight. I don't know why this game did not grip me. It should have gripped me from a theme perspective. It should have gripped me from a mechanics perspective, because the game itself is terribly easy. It's easier than Lord of the Rings, and maybe it's also because I've played so many deck building games since then that I'm like, I know these mechanics, they're not really difficult, so it took me less time to understand them and to get used to them. But I found it was a really, really simple game, mechanics-wise. The story was boring. Never once did I feel I was part of the story. It was always like, it actually reminded me a lot of the Pathfinder Adventure card game, because you also build your locations by putting down cards which represent the locations, very much like the Pathfinder Adventure card game, although it's not as repetitive as the PACG. But I could see it getting this way very, very quickly, at least for me. And then you have the chaos bag. Because having randomized cards in your own deck and randomized cards in the encounter deck and possibly not enough resources to play whatever you want to play, they had to put in an additional randomizer, and that's the so-called chaos bag. This chaos bag, first of all, I don't like it because it's terribly fiddly, and I could see myself, I could see plenty of people actually just losing some of the tokens, and then you're stuck, because if the tokens are gone, you can basically just order a new base game. The way this works is the tokens contain numbers from minus something to plus something, and a couple of symbols. And when you basically play against a challenge, let's say you have a fiend that has defense 5 and you want to kill it, and you can do 2 points of damage, and you have to face a challenge of DC 10, you know, and you have like 5 points, and then you draw a +8, you have beaten the challenge. If you draw a minus, then you have lost against the challenge. So this is what this chaos bag is doing. It's like rolling a d20 in an RPG, you know, adding more randomization. Now, I think the game is randomized enough as it is without having to resort to a dice, to a chaos bag with tokens. You could have used a die if you had wanted to. It makes it less fiddly, dice are easier to come by, put in a d20 would have been fine. No, we had to come up with this really annoying mechanic, because I'm somebody who doesn't like customized dice, because if you lose a die, you're screwed. I mean, when I look at Descent, now you can buy a Descent spare dice set for Descent 2nd edition, and it's like £12 for dice. But you might want to, because if you lose one die, you can pretty much screw the game if it's the wrong die that you lose. If you lose the blue die, you're screwed. So I don't like customized dice anyway. But customized tokens that you put in a bag and then you don't even put all of those tokens in there, no, it didn't do anything for me. I didn't think it made the game any more interesting. It just made it even more tedious. Oh, now I've played all of my cards and I've counted up, and now I need to draw from the, oh look, it's an auto fail. Brilliant. All my strategizing is now out the window. Yes, of course, there is more chaos in the world of Lovecraft than there is in Lord of the Rings, where you don't have this additional randomizer. I mean, having 2 decks to draw from is randomization enough for this game to keep it really interesting. No, we put in this chaos bag. Yes, I get it, we are chaotic because this is Lovecraft. It doesn't do anything for the game except making it even more boring, making it even more annoying. So, to cut a long story short, I played the game 6 times and I sold it after the first week. I cannot recommend it because of all of its shortcomings. I believe it's going to have a bright future because a lot of people will enjoy this. They will enjoy the fact that it's easy. The mechanics are not complicated. You don't have to get invested in deck building because there isn't a lot of deck building happening anyway, because you don't rebuild your deck from adventure to adventure. The deck stays with you. You don't change it. It's like Pathfinder the adventure card game. You have progress in your heroes. You level up. So loads of people will love this. For me, it's like Pathfinder the adventure card game, which is terribly boring, and I lost interest, although I bought, I think, 3 additional expansion packs in addition to the ones that come with the game. I haven't touched it in over a year. I'm not going to sell it because it's too heavy to actually ship. I mean, shipment would probably cost around €30 just for the game. And then, of course, I would like to make money on the game itself, so I'm going to keep it. But like I said, Arkham Horror LCG, not for me. If you get a chance to check it out, play it first before you buy it, because the one thing that I will tell you as well, and this is something that, although I think probably everyone will tear me apart for this review, because everybody loves the game and that's great, agrees, or almost everybody, the base game doesn't give you a lot. It's barely enough to build 2 decks, barely enough, and the game itself is very short and not very interesting. So in this one, even more than in the Lord of the Rings base game, you will have to buy expansions to actually get a proper game out of this, and that can get really expensive really quickly. So this is my word of caution to you. If you want to get a long-term benefit from this game, you'll have to start buying expansions very quickly, and that's going to be expensive. So think about this. There are other Lovecraft games out there, and there are other LCGs out there. If you want an LCG, maybe check out other ones, and if you want a Lovecraft game, maybe check out different ones. If you want the combination, go for it, but I can't recommend it. Okay, bye-bye.